Once again, good morning to everybody. In this class, we will look into the advanced Java concepts, advanced JavaScript and jQuery. In this, we are going to learn about the JavaScript pseudo-classes, then jQuery foundations, Ajax, asynchronous file transmission, animation, and this particular framework, Backbone, MVC, we are going to see. So JavaScript, as I told you before, it is not completely well-established object-oriented language. So they not like Java and Python, other object-oriented languages. That object-oriented concepts have been implemented. Okay, through some of the means. One of them is the pseudo classes. Okay. JavaScript has no formal class mechanism, unlike Java or a Python. There is no formal mechanism of a class. Many common features of object-oriented programming, such as inheritance and even simple methods, must be arrived at through these non-intuitive means. So, whatever the object-oriented concepts inheritance and uh, encapsulation, all those things are implemented. Those are very non-intuitive means. In case of a Java and the Python, the concept of a class, subclasses like inheritance and encapsulation are very intuitive. Looking at those concepts, it looks very intuitive. In case of a JavaScript, those concepts are implemented through the means which are very non-intuitive. You somehow you bring in that concept through some other mechanism, and those mechanisms look very strange. But repeated use of those things, then you will understand. It will make it easy for you. These strange techniques give JavaScript a bad reputation but can easily be mastered. So, even though it is very strange, but it can be with the usage of those techniques, you can master it. An object can be instantiated using object literals. So, using object literal, there is something called as object literals, using which we can instantiate the objects. And those object literals are also called as a plain objects in case of a jQuery. Object literals are the list of key value pairs with colons between the and key and value with the comma separating the key value pairs. If you remember the array, how array was defined, right, as a key value pair, and it was separated, the key and value is separated with a colon, and this pair is separated with a comma. So that kind of a list is nothing but the object literals. That is how we instantiate the object. So this is the example. In this particular case, we are defining the object using the object literals. What we are defining is a dice, okay, six-face dice, which you use for the playing, okay, any kind of a snake and ladder, or any kind of a game where you require a dice. You are making an object out of it, and it is six-faced. It's a cube structure, as you know, and it will have six faces, and color is a red color. If you want to create object of this type, this is how you are going to do it. So in you are going to define the variable using var. The object variable name is one die is equal to, inside the curly braces, you will have a key and a value pair. Okay, this is the key is what? Color. That is the attribute. You can consider it as the attribute of that object. And what is the color? This represents the hexadecimal number, represents the red color. Separated key value is separated by commas. Like if you have multiple key value pair, it is separated by comma, and you have the next attribute that is faces, and faces is nothing but an array. So we every face has these many dots or numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it ends with a semicolon. Okay, and similar to Java or Python, how we access the members of the particular object using a dot. Exactly similar to that, we can use the dot operator to access the members. For instance, one could change the color to blue by writing once you have this particular statement, one die object is created, and how you access the any of the attributes using a dot operator, one die dot color. So you will be able to access, and you are changing it to a blue color. So this is the hexadecimal for the blue color, and you are changing, either you can access or you can modify. It is possible to mimic many features of classes by using functions to encapsulate variables and methods together. So we can also encapsulate the functions similar to any regular class in Java or Python. We will have attributes. We will have methods as well. So we can, in case of this also, we can encapsulate both attributes as well as the methods. And how to do that? This is the way we will do it. Very simple: die pseudo class definition as a function. So even though it looks weird, we are creating like a function. This is how it is done in the JavaScript. So function die, this is the name of the uh, object, you can say, name of the object, and it is taking a parameter, one parameter, col, and inside the curly braces we have the attribute. So we are using this dot color is equal to col. When we are when object is being instantiated, the color attribute is passed, and that color attribute is set to this dot color, and this dot faces is equal to, that is the static value, array of 6 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what this will have is we have a object, okay, which object has two attributes, color and the faces. And how it is done? Using a simple function. This is exactly same as what we did here. The object would be exactly the same. We will see another example where we include the anonymous functions, so that you can have the method as well in the object. So instantiation, how to instantiate the particular uh, object of type die. Var, name of the variable, is equal to, we are going to use the new word. This is very similar to the other languages. When we instantiate the object, we use the keyword new. Then you are going to call that function die, and you will pass the a parameter. So this stands for, let us say, blue color. Then the color attribute of the die object is will be set with the blue color, and it will have one more parameter faces, that will be set with these many values. One technique for adding a method inside of a class is defined is by assigning a anonymous functions to be a variable, to a variable. So how to add a method? So already we have two attributes. Okay, if you want to add a method, how you are going to do is, you are going to use the anonymous functions, and you will assign that anonymous function to particular variable. This is the example, same function. This is the name of the object. This is the parameter that is being passed to the object when it is getting instantiated. That value is set to, so you will use this dot color, whatever the parameter is passed, you will assign that value. This dot faces is set to this array, and this is the method. Define method. This is random role. You are creating this dot random role is equal to, this is an anonymous function. You do not have a name. Okay, name for the function, that is called a anonymous function. Function empty brackets, it is not taking any kind of a value. Then open curly brace, closing curly brace, and semicolon. This is the implementation. And what is the implementation, we'll see. So it is a, you are creating a method random roll, means when you are rolling the dice, any number can come, isn't it? So either 1 can come, 2 can come, 4 can come. So you are creating a method which will randomly give one number out of these 6 numbers. So that is the implementation. Variable definition random num, that is the name of the variable, is equal to, okay, math dot floor. Let us come from the inside. So this is the innermost bracket, math dot random. What does the math dot random? Math is the object, we have already seen this object. It has a method called a random. When you call math dot random, it will uh, uh, generate any number randomly between 0 and less than 1. Okay, so any number will be generated, that is multiplied with this dot faces dot length. What is this dot faces? This dot faces is this attribute. Dot length, dot length will give the size of the array. What is the size of the array? 6. So that random number is multiplied with 6, and then that multiplication is added with one number. So we will get some value here. Then we are taking a math dot floor. So already you know what is the floor function inside the math. Floor will get the lower whole number. Suppose if this multiplication comes as 3.1, then floor will make it as 3. If it comes as 3.9, it will come as 3. Floor is the lower number. So we are going to discard the after whatever is the after the decimal. So one number we are going to get. So this value is, if it is a 0, 0 is multiplied with 6, 0. Then you are adding 1. 1 floor is 1. What it will return? Return random number minus 1. So it will return a 0 value. Okay. Similarly, what will happen is it will return either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one of the numbers it will return. Okay, that is the function. So you created a object which has a attribute called color, and which has a attribute called faces, and also it has a method called random roll. When you call the random roll, automatically it will return you one number, one out of the these 6 numbers. Next, one technique for adding a method, this already we saw. Here is the example. We are creating the object here, variable one die, this is the declaration, is equal to new die. Okay, this is the object, we are passing a parameter, this is the color parameter. The color attribute will be set with this value. Let us say this is blue, it will be set with the blue value. Then console.log, inside that bracket the parameter is sent as one die dot random roll. So you are calling this method. One die is the this object, dot random roll is the method. This will return one number it will return, one of the number it will return. Okay, last when I was explaining of let's say this is 0, 0 is multiplied with 6, 0 and plus 1. Then what is the value it will have? It will have random number will have a value of 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Faces index is 0. What is the index at 0? That is 1. 1 is returned. So you will get only this number will be between, it will make sure that random num minus 1 will be from 0 to 5, representing these indexes 0 to 5. So what will be written if this is 0? 1 will be returned. Okay. and in the log, what, so console is the object and the log is the method. It is going to write into the log what it will write. In this our example 0, it will write 1 was rolled. This is the value we are getting, concatenating was rolled means number, when we roll the dice, number 1 came up. So that is how the interpretation. Every time you call this method, you will get a different number. How you will get a different number? Based on what is getting from the this random function. Emulate classes with functions. So this is how we emulate the classes with the function. Defining emulate meaning, English meaning. Simulate is simulation is exact simulation of all the use cases. Emulate is very close representation of the classes. You can say emulate classes with the functions. Defining methods, as we have shown, is not a memory efficient approach because each inline method is redefined for each of the new object. So if you see the previous definition here, every object that is being created, so when we are doing a new object, it will create a copy of this function. Every function will have a copy because it is created inside this particular function. So that is why it is not memory efficient. You can see here, these are the two. Let us say I created two objects of type die. One is object x, object y, and object x has a color. This is red and these are the value, and this is the color blue and these are the values. If you see here, we have the again the complete definition in this object as well as this object. This is not memory efficient. So what is the solution for that? The better approach is using the prototypes. We JavaScript supports something called as prototypes. Using prototype, we can solve this particular problem. A better approach is to redefine approach is to define the method just once using the prototype of the class. Okay. Prototypes are used to make the JavaScript behave more like a object-oriented language. So when we include this prototype, the behavior would be more like a object-oriented language. The prototypes, why behavior is like that? In case of object-oriented languages, we have something called as a class, and inside the class we have attributes and the methods, and this is the only one copy. Whenever we are making a object, we are not redefining it. Okay, it just makes a object of this which has this method, and similarly you create n number of objects, it will not redefine the functions. But in our case, the earlier case, it was redefining with every object. So you can see here x, y, z, and so on. In every class will redefine the function. That can be avoided using the prototype. The prototype properties and methods are defined once for all instances of an object. So prototype properties and methods are defined once for all instances of object. So the definition is only once, similar to other object oriented language, and every object has a prototype. This is the example, moving the random roll function into prototype. So we'll see how it is done. Here if you see, we have this is the class definition, function die, then we have the one parameter col, then you are going to set that to this dot color, this dot faces is this values. Now you can see, after this I have die dot prototype. So this is the particular class or the object, you can say. On that you are going to call the prototype on that object, and then dot, then you will specify the method or the attribute. In this case it is a method random roll, that is the variable, is equal to anonymous function is exactly the same. Now if you see the earlier definition, okay, this we created this dot random roll, this case, we use the prototype. This is the only difference. You are calling die.prototype, then you are assigning the variable name for the function. Now what happens is we have this definition done only once, and all the object will reference to this function. Okay. Now, in this example, you can see this is the definition prototype. Okay, inside the prototype, what we have? We have two attributes and this particular function. Now, every object that you are going to create, it will have its own attribute, right? This has this attribute and this has this attribute, and the method inside will reference to this definition. So now what you did, you avoided creating the multiple definitions of the function. Every object function, this dot random role will refer to this particular definition. Since all instances of die share the same prototype object, the function declaration only happens one time and shared with all the die instances. More about prototypes, it should be known that every object and method in JavaScript has a prototype. Okay, prototype is an object from which other objects inherit. So every object that we create, every object and the method in JavaScript, they have the prototype, and prototype is an object. Prototype is nothing but an object from which other objects are inherited. In case of Java, if you remember, we have an object class. Every class is inherited from the object class. Similar to that, the above definition sounds almost like a class in an object-oriented language, except that a prototype itself is an object, not an abstraction. So this is like a definition in other languages where we have the class, and from that class we create the object. Similar to that, every object that is created from the prototype. Only difference is prototype is not an abstraction here, but prototype is an object itself. In addition to using prototypes for our own pseudo classes, prototypes enable you to extend existing classes by adding to their prototypes. Okay, so we can also do the extend. We can extend using the pseudo classes. How to do that? Below we are extending a string. We have already the a string object. We are going to extend that. How to do that? On string object, you are going to call prototype dot count chars. So for string object, you are adding one more method called count chars. So it is going to count how many characters are there, is equal to function. This is a anonymous function. You are passing a c parameter. Okay, then inside, this is the opening of the function, this is the closing of the function. Inside I have a variable count which is set to 0, and I have a loop variable I is equal to 0, I less than this dot length, then I plus plus, we are going to get the length. Then if this dot char at I, okay, so index 0, so it will have this, whatever the string you have sent here, it will be parsed, and this dot char at I is the 0th location. It will check with whether it is equal to whatever the character that has been passed. If it is true, then it will increment the count, otherwise it will not. So it will tell how many characters are there, and then after that, after the for loop, it will return the count, how many characters are present. Now, any new instance of string will have this method available to, while existing strings will not. Whatever the existing string objects, it will not have this new method. Uh, any new instances you create, those new instances will have this particular method, that is count chars. This is the example. Hello world has three letter else. Okay, means this is the output. They are showing the output. First, we'll see the code. We are declaring a object here. var is equal to new string. So this particular new instance will have the count char method, and what string we are passing? We are passing hello world. And then console.log, inside the log we are writing what we are writing, hel. Okay, this hel means this variable. What will be printed? Hello world concatenated has, hello world has, plus hel dot count chars. Which char you are counting? L you are passing. So that L value will be passed to this particular method, and inside the string hello world, it will count how many else are there. How many else are there? There are three. So when it does that calculation, it will come as 3 and it will return 3. That 3 will be returned here. Hello world has 3 letter else. That is what the output you are seeing here. jQuery foundations. What is a jQuery? jQuery is a framework. And what is a framework? Framework is nothing but it is a software. It gives a lot of libraries. Libraries are included so that the programming becomes very easy. So this is a jQuery is nothing but a Java script framework, which gives lot of built-in libraries so that the coding will be very easy and very intuitive. That is how the frameworks will help in developing a software. A library or a framework is a software that you can utilize in your own software, which provides some common implementation of the standard ideas. So whatever is the some kind of a standards, those will be part of the framework. You can directly use them. Many developers find that once they start using the framework like jQuery, there is no going back to pure JavaScript, because of the framework offers so many useful shortcuts and succinct ways of doing things. So once you start using the jQuery, the framework, uh, this is pure form is what you are using the JavaScript as is. Okay, that is the pure form of writing the JavaScript. If you use any kind of a framework, jQuery provides some of the libraries and very useful shortcuts and very simple way to use it, so that it becomes very easy for the coding. jQuery, history about the jQuery. In August 2005, jQuery founder John Resig was looking into how to better combine CSS selectors with the succinct JavaScript notations. So he is the founder of the jQuery. He was looking how CSS selectors can be used with the JavaScript notations. Within 1 year, Ajax and animations were added. Additional modules, jQuery UI extension, mobile device support, and continues to improve. So these are the changes that are done. In 2005, he came up with that jQuery framework, and after 1 year, he added Ajax. Okay, asynchronous calls you can make using the Ajax, and some basic animations were included. Then later, additional modules which will help with the UI extension and mobile device support. And since then, like jQuery is getting improved. This is the number of sites. Okay, jQuery is very popular. You can see like a top 47 million sites. If you take, there is a jQuery extension, like around 55%. And if you take top 10,000 sites, about 50% jQuery and its extension. jQuery is now the most popular JavaScript library currently in use, as supported by the statistics from. This is the where the statistics are. These statistics are uh, taken. So how to include the jQuery? So we have to include the jQuery before we start with the using the jQuery platform. How to do that? Either like link to locally hosted version of the library, that is one option, or use an approved third party host such as Google, Microsoft, or jQuery itself. So you can do it in two ways. Using third party CDN, that is content delivery network, is advantageous for several reasons. If you use the third party, bandwidth of the file offloaded to reduce the demand on your server. So the bandwidth of the file is offloaded to that particular third party. So the load on your servers will decrease. Users may already have cached the third party file and thus not have how to download it again, thereby reducing the total loading time. So the loading time will decrease because already the third party file is already cached. Okay, that is how we can reduce the loading time. The disadvantage is third party CDN is that your jQuery will fail if the third party host fails. Okay, meaning what? If you have used the third party, uh, if third party host is down, then your jQuery will fail. That is the one disadvantage. However, the third party host failing is chances of that happening is very low, including jQuery, content delivery network, and fallback. So you can see here we have the this is the script, start of the script, this is the end of the script, and you are including here http:// code.jquery.com, and this is the particular file, JavaScript file, jQuery hyphen, this is the version.min.js, and script type JavaScript, and window.jQuery document.write. You are giving the local where it is hosted. It is in the root. The source is root directory, wherever is the web application running, in the root directory. Okay, in root directory, this particular file. Okay, name of the file is exactly the same. This, suppose if this fails, if the third party CDN fails, then it will switch back to the local version. jQuery loading using the CDN and local failsafe if the CDN is offline. So local failsafe only happens when the third party host is not available. jQuery selectors. When discussing basic JavaScript, we introduced the get element ID and query selector function in the JavaScript. If you remember, we use the get element by ID. So if you want to get the object of the particular element, we were using the get element by ID, and we will provide the ID so that it will get that particular ID. Although advanced query selector methods allow selection of a DOM elements based on the CSS selector, it is only implemented in the newest browsers. jQuery introduces its own way to select the element, which under the hood supports of myriad of older browsers for you. So query selector, some of the newest browsers they support it. In jQuery, what they have done is they have their own mechanism where it will not only support the new browsers, it will also support the older versions of the browsers. The relationship between DOM object and selector is so important in JavaScript programming that the pseudo classes bearing the name of the framework, a jQuery, is reserved for selecting the elements from the DOM. So this particular way means this particular pseudo class jQuery empty bracket. This is reserved in case of a JavaScript for selecting the elements of the DOM, right? If you want to select the any kind of a DOM objects, we are going to use this, and this is the shortcut notation of the exactly the same. Because it is used so frequently, it has a shortcut notation and can be written as dollar empty bracket. So either you can use a jQuery empty bracket, or the simple shortcut is this one. This is exactly same as this one, dollar empty brackets. Basic selectors. What are the different basic selectors we have? There are four basic selectors. We have dollar empty bracket, inside we have asterisk. Okay, that's a universal selector. Okay, so this and this is exactly same. In the rest of the code, you will see only this way of usage. That is the shortcut notation is used. So I'm trying to access the DOM. This is the shortcut method, shortcut notation, and we are passing the asterisk. When we pass the asterisk, universal selector matches all elements. Okay, so whatever the elements that are available, everything will be selected. So definitely it is going to be a slow. And next way is, one is a universal selector which will select all the elements. Next one is the element selector, whichever the element you want to select. Suppose example, you want to select only the div, okay, or suppose you want to select only the paragraph p, you can provide that particular tag. So dollar empty bracket, dollar inside the bracket, we will have that particular tag. It can be div, it can be p, or it can be your list. Whatever the tag you want to select, you can select. Element selector matches all the elements with the given element name. Suppose if you have given div you have given, if there are 5 div elements, it will select all the 5 div elements. Next one is the class selector. As the name suggests, it will going to select all the class tags. Okay, all the CSS classes. For that, you will pass the parameter as a dot class. Class selector matches all elements with the given CSS class. Similarly, ID selector matches all the elements with a given HTML ID attribute. Whichever has that particular attribute, whichever element has that as the ID, whatever is the ID you are passing, all those IDs will be selected. All those elements will be selected. Here is the example. For example, select a single div element with ID is equal to grab, and then the ID that is given, the name that is given is a grab. How to do that? Variable definition, single element is equal to, this is jQuery. Okay, dollar inside the empty bracket, I'm going to say dollar grab. So what it will do, it will grab the element, okay, div element which has the ID as grab. Now this particular example, we have var all a's is equal to dollar inside the bracket we are passing a. So it is going to select all the a elements, okay, a elements which are present in that particular document. To get a set of all the a elements, the selector would be, we are going to use like this. It will select all the a elements. Okay, these selectors replace the use of get element by id entirely. So how we used to get the element, we used to use this particular method, get element by id, and we are going to use to pass that particular id. Now this way, this selector, like in provided by the jQuery, it will completely replace this get element by id method. In addition to these basic selectors, you can use the other CSS selectors that were covered in chapter 3. Okay, the other selectors like attribute selectors that we talked about in the CSS section, then pseudo element selector, contextual selectors. So these kind of selectors also can be selected. This is the example. So if I give dollar inside the bracket, you can see ul space and a colon link. So what it is going to select is the ul. Okay, so you can see first is the ul. It should be first is ul, and inside the ul there is a descendant a. So where is the descendant a? This is the descendant a, 1 2 3. So it is going to select these three, and also you can see another here ul and descendant a. So it is going to select these two. So 3 plus 2 5, 5 elements it is going to select. Another example. Okay, we have dollar inside the bracket. We have id is main. Whenever we have the hash, that is nothing but the id. Where is the id? This is the id. It is going to select this. And next is the immediate child. Okay, it is going to select the immediate child. Time, that is the time. It is going to select this particular value. Okay. Okay, so you can see here, this is going to select the child, and one more definition is here, uh, hash main space time. Whenever we give space, then it is going to select the all the descendants. So it will main, it will look for the ID. Here is the ID, and uh, which is the descendant. This is one descendant, then another descendant. It's going to select that, and also it's going to select this descendant. There are three descendants are there. It is going to select all the three, but in this case only it is going to select the first descendant. And this is the another example. We have id main is this one. Then descendant div. So inside that a descendant div is here. This is the inside the id we have the descendant div. Then p colon first child. So p and the first child, which is the first child inside main div. This is the first child. It's going to select this. And again same main div, and this is the first child. It's going to select both of them. Similarly, we can have a attribute selectors. Recall from the CSS that you can select by attribute with the square brackets, specify a value with an equal sign, and search for a particular value in the beginning and end or anywhere inside. So this is the beginning, and this is end, and this is anywhere. So here consider a selectors to grab all image element with an src attribute beginning with forward slash artist forward slash. So you have src beginning with this particular text forward slash artist forward slash. So it is going to select all the image element which has a src that is starting with this folder forward slash artist forward slash. Again pseudo element selectors. Okay, pseudo element selectors also from css and allow you to append to any selector using the colon and one of them. So you can use this with you can append to any selector. Okay, so some of the examples we saw is, okay, you can see the append. Okay, it is appended here, colon link. It is appended to a, right, a element tag. So that way also you can do. So which are the other pseudo element selectors? Colon link, colon visited, like when you click on particular link, once it is visited, that will be selected. Then colon focus, colon hover, colon active, colon checked, colon first child, first line, and first letter. We can use selector for selecting the pseudo element. selecting all the links that have been visited. Okay, so I just give an example. Suppose you have a requirement to see all the links that have been visited by the user, then you can use this particular way, jQuery inside the bracket a colon visited. So it is going to get all the links which are visited by the user, and that will be stored in the visited links. Contextual selector. So already in the CSS we have covered this contextual, where you will understand the relation between the parent and the descendant. Okay, contextual selector also from CSS. Recall that these include a descendant. Descendant is what? We have the space, this is the child, adjacent sibling, and general sibling. So I gave this example, we will go back to that example. This is after ul I have the space, that is called as a descendant. Descendant means after ul, which wherever the a appears, irrespective of whether it's a direct descendant or it is a indirect descendant, wherever it is present as a descendant, all those things will be taken. This is the child. If you see here dollar main, a time is there, time is here as well as here, but it is going to select the first child. And you can see dollar main, this is descendant, so it is selecting this as well as this, which is inside the div. Okay, so descendant, child, adjacent sibling means whichever is the adjacent next, it will pick up. A general sibling, it will pick all of them. We use the tilde, all the siblings. Siblings is the what? If the elements are at the same level. To select all p elements inside of div element. Okay, so it is like inside a div, you want to select all the descendants of p. So irrespective of there are more divs inside or more other elements, wherever the p is present, it is going to pick, it is going to pick all the p elements. Content filters. Okay, the content filter is the only jQuery selector that allows you to append filters to all of the selectors you used thus far and match particular pattern. Select elements that have the particular child using has. So if you want to check whether a particular element has a child, particular, you want to check whether div parent has ul child or any other child, you can use the has. Okay, filter. Have no children using, so if there are no children inside particular element, you can use empty. Match a particular piece of text, you can use the contain, whether that particular tag contain, okay, particular element contains, it will check for that and accordingly it will filter it. So we'll see some example. You are checking here dollar body star contains warning. Okay, so this is the contains warning. So you can see uh, inside h1 element tag. Okay, you are checking body, okay, inside the body, and warning is contained by the h1 element. Okay, then this is not selected. The reason being the filters are case sensitive. This is lowercase, all lowercase. This will not be selected because it is in the uh, W is in the uppercase. This H1 element will be selected, and this paragraph will be selected P, and this particular this has a warning. Okay, this will be selected, and this particular p will be selected. Okay, that is how you can use the content filters. Form selectors. Okay, so in the next class we'll see the form selectors.